Recently, I have been very vocal on this channel regarding my perspective on the real estate market. I hold a belief that in the forthcoming 18 months or so in real estate, that the sector could potentially be in a very turbulent time. As a professional engaged in real estate transactions, there is a common misconception that I must perpetually promote the market and encourage buyers to overpay for properties. This misconception can arise from the puzzling question of how a home which may have plummeted in value 25% or more during last year can suddenly command a higher price today. However, as my clients soon realize when they hire me to assist them with their transaction, the real estate market is a perpetually shifting entity. After all, markets inherently facilitate the assessment and pricing of tradable items, and in the context of housing, current prices are shaped by the interplay of supply and demand. But when government policies make financing affordable and construction difficult, property prices tend to soar. This surge can also occur when the influx of residents outpaces the creation of new housing. Conversely, to temper an overheated market, the government can tighten financing options in an attempt to reduce demand. However, if housing supply remains stagnant and population growth continues at an unprecedented rate, then the housing market can become exceedingly intriguing. Presently, the predominant factor influencing the market is the exorbitant costs of ownership. In 2021, borrowing $100,000 incurred a monthly expense of approximately $400. As of the end of 2023, that cost has surged about 65% to a staggering $660 per month or more. Consequently, if you borrowed $850,000 in 2021, say at a rate of about 2.5%, your mortgage payment could potentially leap from its current $3,358 a month to possibly as high as $5,739 when your mortgage renews in early 2026, unless you possibly re-amortize back out to 30 years. If at that time in 2025 and 2026, interest rates don't come down and wage growth does not match the pace of these crazy increased monthly payments, we may find ourselves in a challenging market environment. And this is what has individuals waiting for a market crash, hoping to secure a more favorable deal in the future. So I guess if your sole measure of success hinges on declining property prices, then maybe, possibly, you may indeed thrive. However, allow me to provide you with a little dose of realism for those that believe they can absolutely time the market. The only real conceivable reason for prices to dip in the future is the skyrocketing costs of borrowing, which then renders all properties unaffordable for everyone, including those of you eagerly waiting for lower prices. The root cause of this phenomenon lies in something called the GDS, or the gross debt service ratio, which dictates how much of your income is allowed to be allocated to home financing. Changes in borrowing costs don't directly affect your income, meaning that your borrowing capacity remains the same if your earnings don't go up. I guess what I'm trying to say is your monthly payment is going to max out at a certain number. Therefore, it's a bit of a fallacy to assume that if prices dropped by, say, I don't know, $200,000, that you would suddenly be able to borrow more or get a nicer house. In reality, falling prices are coupled with reduced borrowing capacity, resulting in unaltered monthly payments. If building constraints persist or even worsen, and population growth keeps increasing due to mass immigration, these factors will likely exert upward pressure on supply and demand. Hence, while I anticipate a tumultuous period of property prices in the next few years, the overarching trend in the market that I service here in Surrey, BC, and across most major cities in the country suggests the reality of escalating costs. So if that's the case, how should you then approach buying a home in this environment? Well, the answer probably lies in your affordability and suitability, meaning that the right time to buy is when it makes sense for you. Because after all, attempting to profit from things like, I don't know, quick flips, maybe pre-sales, short-term rentals, that's really risky stuff. Navigating this market means you need to be prepared to hold on to any property for at least 5, if not 10 years or more. Try expediting your mortgage repayment, exploring things like house hacking, and maybe even consider putting in a basement apartment or getting a roommate if necessary. And always be trying to increase your income. You need to completely discard the notion that waiting will magically return today's substantial payments to the levels of a decade ago, because your payments are not going to decrease in the future. And that notion is purely wishful thinking and not realistic. And in fact, the only people that will likely truly benefit from a downturn in the market are those that don't require financing at all and have the cash in the bank. And I would assume that if you do have the cash in the bank and you can afford a property, you're likely not watching this channel, as you are probably further along in your real estate investment journey than I am. And if all this kind of makes sense, but it's still a little bit confusing, and you feel like you need help in your real estate journey and you live in my market of the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, well, you can book a call with me using the link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, and we'll see you in a couple of days.